Hey everybody, Movie Cranks here again, back with another review for you. This time, we're going to be reviewing 2019's Hellboy. Which, if you're not familiar with Hellboy, if you haven't seen the first ones, it's about a demon who's brought out of hell and taken in and adopted by a man, Dr. Broom, I think they call him. I don't really know everybody's names in this show. I'll say that I am not the person that really was a big Hellboy fan. I didn't read the comics. The first movies I really didn't so much care for. But this one's a little different too at the same time. It's directed by Neil Marshall. And he has done some good episodes of some shows we like, Game of Thrones, Westworld.
Yep.
But I haven't seen really any big movies on his list. And I'll say that, yeah, there's about 5% of this movie I liked more than the first Hellboy. And then there's that 90%.
5 times 5 is 20. 5.
That was so much worse. And I was not a big fan of the first Hellboy. I think, did you like the first Hellboy?
Yeah, I thought the first Hellboy was actually really good. I mean, you just have to look at the time. 2004, I didn't want a dark Hellboy that was like no fun. I wanted it to be like a comic Hellboy, and when it was coming out, I was so nervous. I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be awful. Probably it's gonna be cheap." But when I saw it, and I saw Ron Perlman, and the way he was, the way he carried himself, the way he acted, was so precise. It's a 1 in a million character.
Yeah. Now I will say,
and I loved that movie.
Ron Perlman was the best Hellboy ever.
Yeah.
David Harbour was a good replacement.
Oh yeah.
You know, I think he pulls off the part. It's just the story around him. It's just collapses.
It does. It's the problem is you got Perlman, right? Who's the number 1 of Hellboy. If you say Hellboy, he appears because he's the number 1. They made a movie with a number 2, and it's not his fault. It's the writing and the way the movie was set up, the pacing. It's not his fault that this turned out this way, and the reviews have been so scathing that I've read. And they're right. It does suck.
Yeah,
but
no, it's
not his fault because he's always going to be the second guy. He's always going to be number 2 to Perlman, and that's what's crap about this.
You know what we should talk about though?
He's great in Stranger Things. Love him.
Oh yeah, I love Stranger Things, man. And you know what? There is times that there is a Stranger Things vibe I get from this.
Every time I saw him in Stranger Things, I would get that rush of like, oh, there's my favorite guy.
How do you kill this thing? Shoot it with fireballs or something?
No fireballs. You summon an undead army because zombies, you know, they don't have brains, and the mind flayer it likes brains.
Okay, no, get away from me. Going to want to hear this, away from me. I only want 5.
Which I was hoping we were going to get in this one because in Stranger Things, if you brought that character to Hellboy, it's very similar.
I don't know who was directing him in the way he was acting, but
Neil Marshall.
Didn't feel. It went back and forth between him being corny and campy to like sort of worried. He never went to the height of like freaking out, panic, or angry to the point, well, except when he switched into the Hell Demon. I mean, you never had that like excitement out of him. With Perlman, everything was like, oh my God, and it felt like the end of the world with Perlman. He made it seem that way. With this, he's just always like joking, and not all the jokes hit.
The first one, even with Perlman, there's a lot of jokes, but this one, to me, it seemed like it couldn't decide what it wanted to be.
It was all
Did it want to be
over
a
the
comedy?
place.
Did it want to be a horror movie? Did it want to be a fantasy movie?
Yeah.
And that's probably the 5% that I actually like better. I do like the fantasy aspect.
They had like good costumes. He looked excellent. His face was a little too thin in certain areas for me. It was a little weird, but his costume was fantastic. The guns were okay. Not great. I wanted to see more of the guns. They didn't really use
That wasn't even until the end.
It ranged from garbage fire to orphanage fire. No, it wasn't that bad, but it was like
You know what I made out of CGI?
it looked odd.
It felt like it was created by 2 different people.
Yes.
Like 2 different separate companies.
Yeah.
Because there was the one
Practical.
scene that we were talking about on
Yeah.
the way home with the Giants, I thought was excellent.
Yep.
I thought the CGI looked great. And then there's that time where she's got the blood and she's bringing it out of the tree.
And it looked
she
like
was
a
kinda-
Slurpee.
No, Gear. For the first time in my life, I don't feel like a total dick.
Yeah, me either.
Sorry, boys. Momentary loss of motor nerve.
I
had to bring that
I turned
up.
my head. I'm like, oh my god, this is terrible. But I mean, the story is the same. It's the same thing as before. He gets unlocked by the Nazis. He finds out his dad isn't exactly the dad he thought he was, and we'll get to Ian McShane. It was the same story. And I thought, well, they got to do something different. But what they did different was just throw more crap at it
Well, what they did different really
to see if it worked.
is Nimue,
Yeah,
who's
the
played
Blood
by
Queen.
Mila Jovovich.
Doing her Resident Evil 6 impression, maybe, where she was like, oh, we got to save the world. Okay. And it was like,
you know what I got out of her character, and I told you in the car too with this one. And this whole movie could roll up into that whole category, which is the MonsterVerse.
oh, yeah.
The universe that never happened. That movie feels so much like The Mummy sometimes.
Yeah, I forgot
and
about that.
especially Mila Jovovich.
Yes.
She is so similar.
She belongs with Tom Cruise.
She could have played the Mummy in The Mummy.
She was just vapid and unnecessary. But if you put her in that, Jovich can make anything crazy when she tries. She was not trying in this. She tried a few times. She had a couple good scenes, but she was just a thing. She didn't seem dangerous. She didn't seem like the big bad guy. The big bad guy in the movie was a pig. And
You know, did you like
first
his
thing-
character?
you know who it
At
reminded
times
me
I
of?
liked his character. At times I was like,
Dude, do you
I wish
know
he
who
had
it
a little
was?
better CGI on him.
It was like Rocksteady and Bebop from Ninja Turtles. I kid you not. It was like looking at the Ninja Turtles, Rocksteady and Bebop come back to life.
You're a rhinoceros, and you're a... I don't know what you are. All right, let me look. I'm a little piggy.
He was the best bad guy in the movie.
Yeah, he actually had a reason.
And
He had a vendetta against Hellboy.
here's the other problem. The other bad guys in the movie are like stuff that is supposed to be coming out of hell and demons, like you see in the trailer, slicing people up. But that was like not a part of the movie. Never even really
see
went
it.
to them.
I do see that, but that brings up the point that you were talking about earlier, which is all the like, just forced in gore that you didn't really need all the time.
Yes. It has a
I mean, this
level
one's
of
rated
gore.
R. You could have took out the word fuck, and some of the gore. You could have made a PG-13. Probably got a bigger audience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
They
and I don't
totally
think it
screwed
really
that up.
would have changed the movie.
Here's the problem. It's like they saw a movie like Deadpool where it's an R-rated, colossal freaking success. And they said, hey, we're going to redo Hellboy without the main characters. And it's going to be all different. What could we do to jazz it up? And they're like, oh, I know. Let's put in random scenes of people being literally ripped in half right in front of the camera. And or like taking someone's eyeballs out of their head. That happened like 5 times, it seemed. Like eyeballs were a big thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of things with eyeballs and them
Super
being
gory
sewn
for
up.
zero reason.
I think they just had a big problem with not knowing what direction to go. Comedy, horror, fantasy. It's just all over the place. And the pacing of this movie.
Well, that's...
I told him, he told me it was up and down, up and down. To me, though, the pacing of this movie is just so fast. It's like they're trying to force feed you as much as possible
Yeah.
in a 2-hour movie, which is probably 30 minutes too
They
long.
bounce from one scene to the next.
And yeah, there's times where you'll be here and then you're over there.
Conveniently. Like, they couldn't figure out like how to get him out of the jungle into the city and into the church and into this place. It was just one scene after the next. So what they did was sometimes they would just knock him out and he'd wake up in the different place. That is the laziest crap. They made it to like the real world didn't exist.
Yeah, whoever edited
It was so fake.
Whoever edited this movie, it was a monstrosity. This thing is all over the place. It almost makes the movie a little convoluted.
You know how they were worried about Solo being a mess because it got re-edited and chopped up? I think this is what they were worried about. This thing is chopped up bad. I mean, the scenes don't feel right. The characters he's running into periodically that you don't know who they are, they just disappear. And they make there's no point to them. That happens constantly.
You know what this movie is like? It's like a video game.
Yeah.
And they can't decide. They can't decide which way they want to go.
Yeah.
With it. You know how they make video games sometimes and they're like, oh, we did this. And then like 9 months before it's released, they're like, scrap everything, start over.
Yeah.
That's what you felt like here.
It felt like Anthem.
Like
Let's just say it.
It felt like Anthem.
It felt like Anthem.
You know, it's like they decided like 9 months before, like they were making a horror movie, and then they decided, no, we need to make a fantasy movie. And then like 6 months later, like, no, we don't like this either. You know, make it like the original.
Now let's talk about something really important. Something dear to me, and that would be sadly, we broke up probably about in 1999, I think it was, when she was...
you and Selma Blair?
Selma Blair, right. She was one of the best parts of Hellboy, I thought, was her.
Well,
because you felt so much...
in love with her?
Not me, Hellboy, but I sort of fell in love with her through him. And she was like so angry and pissed sometimes and real. And then she'd have that soft, sweet side. This new one.
Yeah, this new girl, her and Hellboy have no chemistry together. None.
I'm sorry, I know it's wrong to say this, but she was dismal.
She was not a good replacement.
Holy cow. She felt like a cartoon character that didn't know what the hell she was doing. She didn't even know what her power was. You know how she figured out her power? It was by accident, when she was just standing around. I'm like...
Oh, and talk about her original power.
Yeah, that's part of the gore. They do some weird stuff. They do stuff that takes you by surprise because it's so bad looking CGI-wise, but also so gory and weird. It's like, why? You know, why did you do that? Because there was a kid right next to us who must have been 8 or 9 years old. I was so mortified because do not even think about taking your kids to this. There must have been 20 decapitations. People's arms getting ripped off. I mean, and I'm talking like right in front of the screen. Like they did it on purpose, like dead center. And it's like, I saw this kid and he was just horrified.
Well, that one guy, they literally skin his entire face at the end.
They rip his face off.
Which I thought was kind of cool, that part. But I can see, like, kids, that's not a good idea.
I'm like, this is ridiculous. I mean, the first Hellboy, it wasn't actually that bad. I think they had a few cuss words, they had some violence, but it was kind of more silly, you know, like not real feeling violence like this was.
There is one thing we do need to talk about too, though, which was bringing up, and we kind of got off the subject there a little bit, which is, her power. It's stupid. It's like she throws up a soul or something, and they talk, and it's all like real slimy looking.
It's hard to explain this.
It's just so weird.
Picture like bringing someone back using a seance, and you think it's going to be like a vapor or like some kind of ghost or something like that. You don't expect it to be like somebody's nutsack coming out full blast and then forming a face. It's like, what the hell is that?
Yeah,
I mean, it was insane.
That was a good analogy. It kind of looks like Thanos' chin.
It took me so by surprise. I looked at you immediately. I was just like, oh my god.
The only thing I could think when they were doing that is, why couldn't you just made it like she just puts her hand on their forehead and their eyes open up and they speak?
Yeah,
it would have been
or cheaper. Something like the mist, or like one guy said mist or something like that. Like, hey, let's have like a mist or some effect. And it's like, yes, that'd have been fine.
But I think some of these people, these directors and these CGI people and effects people, they don't understand. Sometimes the littler amount matters. Here, they could have just rolled some eyes back in the head, hand on the forehead, they talk, and it would have been so much more practical.
So much better.
So much better. But no, they went the crazy, just goofy route.
I will say the sound effects and some of the sound design were cool. But you know where I'm going.
The soundtrack.
Is the soundtrack. It was a mess of 80s and 90s and just
wannabe Guardians of the Galaxy.
It was totally ripping off Guardians of the Galaxy with they had to have their own soundtrack. And it felt so out of place. And you're like, oh, not this, not this.
Well, there's the one time, the Wild Hunt. They're literally riding on the Wild Hunt, and they're playing this music that's just, it's like techno or something. And I'm like,
it doesn't work at all.
This doesn't
they
work
were trying to be
with the scene.
poppy. There are some good things. It's nice to see Hellboy back on the screen. It's been a long time since, I barely remember the originals.
15 years,
It's been a
man.
long time. I watched them constantly. So it's good to have something back. They have a possibility of making this better because here's the thing. They left it open for
a sequel.
And I think if they learn their lesson, they can make this work. Go
They could.
smaller on stuff like CGI and go less and make more practical, like one bad guy or two.
But I would say, to be honest though, if they were going to make another one, definitely keep on David Harbour. I think at this point, he is the second best Hellboy.
Yeah.
He's not the first best, but you can't go back to Ron Perlman now.
No, you can't.
He hates you. He was pissed off.
No.
about
He
that.
said if Del Toro and all them worked together,
and don't you feel that
he'd have come back.
it would have just been better to get the third Hellboy?
Oh, yeah.
Ron Perlman, Del Toro,
Selma.
Oh man, it would have been so much better just to get the third one to round out that whole series, because it never really got a finality. It never got that big end.
Yeah, that is
You know?
true. I mean,
it would have been
felt
nice.
Very.
Because I'm like I said, I wasn't the biggest fan of them, but maybe that third one would have made me the fan.
But no, I mean, to be honest, I think there is a good chance of a better story here. I think that's redeemable. I think that with a different writer, maybe a different director, they could pull this off.
As for me, I do actually agree with you. There are redeemable qualities to this movie. It was entertaining. I mean, I didn't really think, oh my God, I just got to get up and leave.
I had a little bit of a headache.
There's times where it's like, gets a little convoluted. It moves a little too fast.
You
but
still
yet
know what the hell's going on.
It moves a little too fast, but
Yeah.
yet it's a little too long. The story's too choppy. It's here. It's all over the place. Sometimes you just get lost. And I found myself at times not even really paying attention to the movie anymore. There were just like little drops where I'd just be like,
zoning out. Yes.
Zoning out.
Yes, that's a bad thing that happens in this. You will have that where they'll go from really intense, crazy action to a really slow scene in someone's apartment for like 10 minutes. And you're like, well, I do give it its props for what it did right. But I will not want to see this again. I will not watch this again.
Yeah. You know what?
And I don't recommend this. So
And that actually
anyone
made up my
wants
mind
to
on my
know,
score.
do not see this.
That made my mind up my score because this has no rewatchability.
No.
I'm never going to want to watch this again.
I won't recommend this to friends or family, and that's probably why I should probably drop it. It's probably a D+, because that's the problem. I just thought of something. Is if my dad or anyone else asked me, would you go see that? How was it? I'll be like, I wouldn't recommend it. I'd wait until Endgame.
Exactly, which I cannot wait
Don't
for.
spend your money.
I'm going to have to agree with that and take it a step lower and just say, to me, this is a flat D.
Okay.
The whole movie just needs something.
Yeah, it needs a lot.
I can't understand what exactly it does need. Maybe Ron Perlman. And that's about all I really have for this movie. What about you? Any more?
We just got up and running our new Facebook page. We're going to be doing news and reviews, and we're going to be doing commentary, and we're going to be doing some roundtable to where we talk about information that we think's fucking worth it, and news about movies and things like that we like. So anyway, check out our Facebook page. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and everything like that. And we will see you on the next one. We've got more reviews. Star Wars came out. He did an immediate trailer reaction to Star Wars. Yeah. So check that out as well.
Just did the Netflix Silence, too.
Yes, Silence.
And The Headhunter.
Another epic
Check out
one.
The Headhunter, too.
We don't speak that damn movie. Anyway, thanks, guys. And once again, thanks for watching Movie Cranks, and peace out.
See ya.